My name is Lauren Kowalski, and I'm 29. The day my fiancé told the county clerk that I'd be taking his ex-wife's last name instead of keeping my own, I didn't scream, throw a pen, or storm out. I just felt something in my chest go still and flat, like a chalk line stretching tight before it snaps. We were sitting at the Formica counter in the clerk's office, side by side, fluorescent lights humming above us. I had my favorite black pen in hand, the one I use for contracts and shipping reports. Getting the marriage license was supposed to be a cute errand, a check mark on our color-coded wedding spreadsheet. The clerk smiled, tapping at her keyboard. "And will either of you be changing your last name after the wedding?" I opened my mouth to answer, but Ethan beat me there. "She'll be taking Richardson," he said, smooth, automatic. "We've already talked about it." I blinked. We had not. The clerk's fingers paused over the keys. "So you'll be Lauren Richardson?" Ethan nodded, still looking at the clerk instead of me. "Yeah, it's cleaner, more professional." My pen stopped in mid-signature. "I thought we were still deciding," I said. My voice sounded polite, distant, like it belonged to someone else. He finally turned toward me, eyebrows lifted like I was being adorable and difficult. "Babe, come on. We already know your last name is a mouthful." The clerk's smile faltered. I felt my face grow hot. "Kowalski," I said slowly for the 100th time that month. "It's not that complicated." He laughed, a little too loud for the quiet office. "Exactly. It's super ethnic. Hard for people. Richardson just opens doors." There it was. The little blade I'd been pretending wasn't sharp enough to cut me. The clerk shifted, eyes flicking from him to me. "I can leave it blank for now, if you're not sure." Ethan waved her off. "No, go ahead and put Richardson. She knows it makes more sense. It's my legal name now anyway." I stared at him. "Your legal name, because you took it from Vanessa," I said softly. "Your ex-wife." He didn't even flinch. "Yeah, and it's on all my socials, my speaking engagements, the podcast. Rebranding would be a nightmare. It's just practical, Lauren. Don't make it a thing." "Don't make it a thing," in front of a stranger, while he announced that I would carry his ex-wife's name because my family's was too foreign for his brand. The clerk coughed, clearly wishing she were anywhere else. "I can just put undecided for now, if that helps." Ethan rolled his eyes, but I smiled at her. "That's fine," I said. "Thank you." I finished signing where I needed to sign. I wrote KOWALSSKI in my neatest handwriting, the way my father had taught me, slow and steady, like honoring each letter. Ethan ran his card for the license fee, still chatting about venues and playlists as if he hadn't just shoved a knife into the center of my identity. On the walk back to the car, he nudged my shoulder. "You're quiet." "I'm thinking," I said. "About a last name?" He laughed. "You're too smart to be sentimental about syllables on paper. It's 2024, babe. Nobody cares." I thought about him saying super ethnic in front of a government employee while I smiled and didn't flip the desk. I thought about my grandmother, who crossed an ocean with that same ethnic name on a faded passport. "Some people care," I said. "You just don't like that I'm one of them." He kissed my cheek like he was patting a dog. "I love you," he said. "Don't be dramatic." When we got home, he left for a pre-wedding spa day with his groomsmen, massage, steam room, some overpriced grooming package he'd called mandatory self-care. He kissed me again at the door, told me not to stress about paperwork semantics, and disappeared in an Uber still talking about his haircut. The door clicked shut behind him. The silence that followed was not empty. It was decisive. I walked into our small apartment kitchen, set my phone on the counter, and rinsed a wine glass we weren't using. I dried it carefully, turning it in the dish towel until the rim sang a thin, high note. It sounded like a line snapping. My grandmother's voice echoed inside my head. "If someone is embarrassed by your name, they are embarrassed by you." I opened my laptop. The wedding spreadsheet glowed on the screen. Tabs for dress, venue, caterer, photographer, travel, registry. Numbers I had meticulously tracked, deposits I had placed with my credit cards, because my score is better, babe. I started with the dress. We'd flown to New York 3 months ago so Ethan could film a vlog series at the boutique. Yes, that one. The one with the reality show and the ridiculous lighting. He'd called it a bucket list moment and spent more time shooting B-roll of himself than looking at me in the gown. I still had the receipt. I called the boutique. "Hi, this is Lauren," I said, giving them the order number. "I need to return a dress." There was a pause. "Oh, the Nina Torrey and Ivory," the associate said, recognition in her voice. "Is everything all right?" The wedding's been called off, I said. The words felt strangely clean in my mouth. True, in a way, they hadn't been this morning, but were now. Somewhere between fluorescent lights and a humming kitchen, I had decided. I'm sorry to hear that, she said gently. Let me get my manager. 15 minutes later, $8,437 was on its way back to my card. Their policy allowed returns within 6 months as long as the dress hadn't been altered. Alterations were scheduled for next month. Lucky me, I murmured as I hung up. Next tab, bridesmaid suits. Ethan had insisted on paying for his groomsmen's custom suits for the aesthetic, but I'd put down the deposit for my bridesmaids' dresses and alterations because the boutique preferred a single payer. Cancelled. Deposit refunded. $1,800. Venue, trickier. I called, pulled up the contract while I waited on hold. Ethan had been so proud of that place. Exposed brick, fairy lights, a designated content corner with a neon sign for selfies. The contract, thankfully, was in my name only. The manager finally picked up. We typically don't refund deposits, she said after I explained. I understand, I replied. But Section 8.3 says, client may cancel with forfeit of initial deposit if done 6 or more months prior to event. We're 7 months out. A pause as she clicked through. You're right, she said slowly. So we'll retain the $2,000 deposit and refund the remaining $4,500. Perfect, I said. Thank you. By 3 in the afternoon, I had recovered nearly $20,000 in wedding expenses. Photographer, $2,000 back, lost only the $500 deposit. Caterer, full refund minus the tasting fee. Band, deposit returned after they rescheduled the date. Registry, I called his favorite home goods boutique, the one where he'd done a whole Instagram live about curating our future life. I'm so sorry, I told the manager. The wedding's off. If any guests ask, please let them know gifts should be returned. The manager's voice softened. Of course, that must be hard. Another woman? She guessed. Another name, I said. A different kind of X. I spent the last hour of the afternoon at a travel agency, staring at a glossy poster of cherry blossoms over Tokyo. I'd like to book a solo trip, I said. 2 weeks. Japan. First-class flights. Nice hotels. I have a newly freed-up budget. The agent's eyebrows arched, but she only smiled. Congratulations, she said, on the freedom. By the time I walked back into the apartment, the sun was beginning to set, smearing gold across the living room wall. The vision board Ethan and I had made together, swatches of linen, Polaroids of the venue, printouts of my dress, still hung by the kitchen. I took it down, thumbtacks and all. In its place, I pinned my itinerary. Flight times, hotel confirmations, a printed list of ramen places a friend had insisted I try. The apartment looked different already, less like a waiting room for someone else's dream. In the bedroom, I moved Ethan's clothes from our shared closet into the guest room, folded his carefully ironed shirts, his favorite jackets, the stupid Groomzilla hoodie his best man had bought as a joke. The Kleinfeld garment bag had been the shrine of the room, hanging in the center like an altar. Now the pole was empty. I took out a small folded Polish flag my mother had given me when I moved out. I'd kept it in a drawer because Ethan had once joked it was a bit much for a one-bedroom. I hung it in the closet. On a plain white index card, I wrote, "Since you prefer Richardson to Kowalski, I figured Richardson should pay for your next wedding. Good luck with that. The woman with the harsh ethnic name. The woman with the..." I set the note where the dress had been, propped against the flag. Petty? Absolutely. Honest? Completely. At 7, I heard this key in the lock. "Babe, you should see my nails," Ethan called, his voice bright as he walked in. "They're perfect for the wedding photos. And they did this scalp massage. Oh my God, I almost..." He stopped when he saw the living room, the missing vision board, the itinerary, my passport on the coffee table. "What's with the passport?" he asked slowly. "I'm going to Japan," I said. "I leave Thursday." He laughed once, unsure. "We didn't plan a trip." "I did," I said. "Solo trip." His smile stiffened. "What about the wedding planning?" "What wedding?" He stared at me, then past me, like the word might still be written on a wall somewhere. "Okay, very funny. Are you still mad about the name thing? Lauren, I told you." "I canceled everything today," I said quietly. Dress, venue, caterer, photographer, bridesmaid dresses. Got most of the money back. The color drained from his face. "You... what?" "In case you're wondering where your ex-wife's surname will take you next," I added, "it won't be down an aisle with me at the end of it." His mouth opened and closed, soundless. For the first time all day, I felt something warm and steady move through my chest. It felt like keeping my name. Ethan's face did a strange thing, like someone had reached into his chest and unplugged him. "You're joking," he said. "I'm not." He dropped his spa bag by the couch, the little branded tote flopping against the leg. "Lauren, you didn't actually cancel. Dress, venue, caterer, photographer," I said, ticking them off on my fingers. "Bridesmaid dresses. Your friends' suits are still good to go, if they want to wear them somewhere else." For a second, he just stared, eyes flicking over my face like he was searching for the punchline. Then he moved, fast. He bolted down the hallway. A beat later, the bedroom door slammed open. I heard the closet sliding, hangers scraping, then a silence so sharp it made my skin prickle. "What the hell?" His voice cracked through the apartment. "Lauren, where is my suit? Where is your dress?" I leaned against the kitchen counter and waited. He came storming back out, my note in one hand, the folded Polish flag in the other. His face was blotchy, the way it got when his ring light overheated. "You returned the dress?" he shouted. "You returned it? Are you out of your mind? That was my content arc, Lauren." "It was my dress," I said calmly. "My card, my grandmother's money, my name. That was our dream dress." "You never looked at me in it," I reminded him. "You looked at the camera." He slapped the note down on the table. "Since you prefer Richardson to Kowalski, I figured Richardson should pay for your next wedding." He read it out loud like it tasted bad. "What is wrong with you?" "What's wrong with me?" I echoed. "Ethan, you told a county clerk my last name was too ethnic for your brand and that I'd be taking your ex-wife's instead. In front of me. Like I was a rebrand you needed to roll out." "It was a joke," he snapped. "You're being psychotic. You canceled our entire wedding over a name." I swallowed the immediate response. Over a name, and the way you said it, and the way you looked at me like I was inconvenient for not laughing. "I canceled it," I said, "because you chose your ex-wife's identity over mine and didn't even hesitate." He laughed once, wild. "You know what this is? You're threatened. You're jealous of Vanessa." There it was, the ghost with great hair. "I'm not threatened by your ex," I said. "I'm disgusted that you want me to carry her name because mine doesn't sound clean enough for your followers." His jaw clenched. "Richardson is my name too." "You took it to match hers," I said. "And you've clung to it because it opened doors. That's fine. Keep it. Just don't expect me to stand at the end of an aisle and pretend Kowalski is something to be erased." He started pacing, one hand in his hair. "Okay, calm down. We can fix this. We'll postpone. We'll plan something smaller. Take a beat, and then—" "We're not postponing," I said. "We're done." His phone lit up on the coffee table. A notification banner scrolled by. Group chat with his groomsmen. "Spia boy." He ignored it. "Over a name?" he demanded. "You're throwing away 3 years over pronunciation?" "I'm walking away," I corrected, "from someone who thinks my heritage is a typo." He grabbed his phone, thumbs flying. I didn't have to guess who he was texting. His mother's name flashed across the screen a moment later, calling. He jabbed accept and put her on speaker. "Mom, you're not going to believe what Lauren just—" "Ethan!" Maria's voice shrieked through the room. "What is this text? The wedding is off? What did you do?" "Me?" he said, offended. "She went crazy. She canceled everything because I said she'd be taking my last name, which is normal, by the way." There was a pause on the line. "Your last name," Maria repeated slowly. "You mean Richardson?" "Yes," he said, exasperated. "Obviously." "The name you took from Vanessa," she said. "Your ex-wife." Ethan flinched. "Mom, that was years ago." "And you did not tell this girl you expected her to take it too," Maria said. I could practically see her pinching the bridge of her nose. "Ethan." He hesitated. "It's more professional," he muttered. "Her name is, hard." "Hard?" Maria's voice sharpened. "Or ethnic? Is that what you said?" Ethan's eyes flicked to me, guilty. "Mom, don't." "Your father and I changed our name when we came here," she snapped. "We thought it would help. I regret it every day. And now you are repeating that shame? You should have been proud to marry into a name like hers." "Maria," I said quietly, "it's okay, really." "It is not okay," she said. "Lauren, darling, I am so sorry. Ethan, I raised you better than this." He hung up, face flaming. "Great," he said bitterly. "You've turned my own mother against me." "I told her the truth," I said. "You did the rest." The rest of the evening was a blur of calls. He rang the boutique, demanding they undo the return. They couldn't. The refund was already processed, the dress already recatalogued. He tried the venue, the caterer, the photographer. Each time I watched his face lose another shade of color as he heard the same phrases. Contract holder, within policy, funds refunded to the card on file. You returned everything, he said finally, dropping his phone onto the couch. You canceled. You got the money back. Yes, I said. Our money, he insisted. We planned this together. With my accounts, I replied. Remember? Your credit score is better, babe. He opened his banking app, fingers moving fast. The more he scrolled, the more his shoulders dropped. The charges he'd made were smaller. Decorations, the cake tasting, a few deposits for his content team, 500 here, 300 there. I almost felt bad. Almost. The dress was $8,000, he said, dazed. Just the dress. $8,000, I agreed, to wear your ex-wife's name while you called mine a branding problem. He stared at me, breathing hard. Fine, he spat. Fine, you win. I'll hyphenate. Happy? Richardson Kowalski. That way you still get your precious heritage, and my brand doesn't take a hit. You said that was a mouthful, I reminded him. Remember? In front of the clerk? He winced. Besides, I added, I don't want my name stapled to the end of your ex-wife's. I want it to stand on its own, the way it has for generations. He sank onto the arm of the couch, rubbing his temples. You're ruining both our lives over nothing. Nothing? I said softly. If it was nothing, you would have chosen me over the aesthetics of your business card. He didn't answer. That night, he slept in the guest room by default. His things were already there. I lay in our bed alone, staring at the ceiling, listening to the low hum of traffic and the occasional TikTok sound drifting in from some neighbor's phone. For the first time since we got engaged, my own name on the lease felt like a blessing. By morning, the internet knew. Ethan's phone started buzzing before the sun was fully up. He was an emerging voice in DEI work, panels, webinars, a podcast about inclusive workplaces, 15,000 followers, curated black and white grid, captions about empathy and listening. He had also, unfortunately for him, documented our entire engagement. I watched from the kitchen table, coffee in hand, as he stared at his screen. His face moved through disbelief, irritation, then something close to fear. What? I asked. He didn't answer, just shoved the phone at me. A DM preview. Bro, is it true you refused to let your fiancé keep her own name? Another. Wait, you kept your ex's name but called hers too ethnic? That you? Someone had posted a TikTok, a stitched compilation of Ethan's wedding content videos, ring boxes, venue tours, a slow-motion shot of me in the dress, blurred slightly, overlaid with text. When the woke DEI guy tells his Polish fiancée her name is too ethnic for his brand, but wants her to take his ex-wife's surname instead. The comments were vicious. Not Ethan allyship Richardson collapsing under a last name. Imagine calling your fiancé's name too ethnic while working in DEI team Lauren Kowal. How do you spell it? Whatever, team her. My chest ached, not because they were wrong, but because strangers now knew more of my life than I'd ever wanted to share. He scrolled, jaw tightening with each swipe. They're twisting it, he muttered. They're making me sound racist. You said too ethnic, I reminded him. On video, apparently. It was a joke, he insisted weakly. Out of context. I took my coffee to the sink. There's a lot of context, I said. It's called the last 3 years. His phone buzzed again, this time a text from a contact labeled Vanessa. He turned the screen away so fast he may as well have thrown a spotlight on it. I pretended not to see. Around noon, he got the call from work. He spoke in clipped sentences, pacing, his voice growing increasingly defensive. After he hung up, he slammed his phone down, so hard a crack spidered across the screen protector. They're reviewing the situation, he said bitterly. Apparently my comments raise questions about internal alignment with our values. He used air quotes. It didn't make it less true. You lead trainings on unconscious bias, I said. You might be the case study this time. This is your fault, he snapped. You didn't have to cancel. You could have just corrected me in private. Now I look like what you are, I said quietly. He stared at me, stunned. Late that afternoon, my own phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hey, you don't know me, but I'm Lena. I used to be in Ethan's little accountability circle group chat. Just wanted to say, I saw the screenshots. You did the right thing. A second bubble appeared. Also, for what it's worth, my grandmother's last name is Zielinski. Too ethnic, apparently. I changed it when I was 20. I regret it every day. Don't give yours away. I swallowed hard. My eyes burned. Ethan was still pacing, still spiraling through tabs of outrage and denial when my mother let herself in with the spare key. "Lauren," she called. "I brought pierogi. You look like you need food." Ethan groaned under his breath. "Perfect," he muttered. "The ethnic cavalry." I closed my eyes for a second. "Don't," I warned. My mother clocked the tension the moment she stepped into the room. Her gaze flicked from my face to Ethan's clenched jaw, then to the Polish flag folded neatly on the coffee table, waiting to be packed. "Ah," she said. "So, the idiot has spoken." "Mom," I said, but a laugh escaped me. She kissed my cheek, then turned to Ethan. "You are keeping your ex-wife's name, but not my daughter's," she said, no preamble. "That is, how you say, clown behavior." "Mrs. Kowalski," he began, "with all due respect." "You have none," she cut in. "You will not be in my family, so you do not have to pretend." He sputtered. "This is between me and Lauren." "Oh, I know," she said. "That is why I am taking my daughter to the airport tomorrow." His head snapped toward me. "You're still going?" "Yes," I said, "I am." He stared at the two of us. One woman, whose last name he wanted to erase, and another whose he never bothered to learn to pronounce correctly. For once, he looked like he understood just how outnumbered he really was. That night, I packed, folded clothes into cubes, slid guidebooks and chargers into place, tucked my passport into the front pocket of my backpack. Ethan hovered in the doorway, watching. "You can't actually get on that plane," he said finally. His voice was low, almost hoarse. "If you get on that plane, we're over." I zipped my suitcase, the sound loud in the quiet room. "We've been over," I said gently, "since you decided Kowalski was a problem to solve instead of a family to join." His eyes shone. Anger, panic, something else flickering behind them. "I'll take your name," he blurted. "Okay, fine. There, I said it. I'll be Ethan Kowalski. Happy?" I looked at him, really looked, as if I were flipping through 3 years of memories and fast forward. Every joke I'd let slide, every tiny dismissal, every time he'd said my name, like chewing gristle. "Do you want my name?" I asked quietly. "Or do you just want the wedding back?" He didn't answer. The little airplane icon popped up next to my flight in the app, reminding me to check in. I hit the button. The airport the next morning smelled like coffee and jet fuel, two things I'd learned to associate with leaving and starting over. Mom insisted on walking me in, even though I told her I'd be fine. She wore her red scarf, the one she always said made her easy to find in a crowd. Ethan wasn't in that crowd. He hadn't come. Not that I expected him to. At 6:40 a.m., he'd texted once, "If you go through with this, don't bother coming back." At 6:45, I'd replied, "I wasn't planning to." When the boarding call sounded, Mom hugged me so hard my ribs ached. "Lauren," she whispered in Polish, "don't let anyone make you small." I promised I wouldn't. Then I walked toward the gate with my name printed bold and whole on my boarding pass. Japan was loud and quiet in all the right places. The first night, I sat by the hotel window overlooking Shinjuku's endless grid of lights and watched the rain blur the neon into watercolor streaks. The city didn't care who I was, what had happened, or what name was printed on my luggage tag. I liked that. By day 3, I'd turned off my phone. No notifications, no guilt, no, we can fix this. I wandered through temples, side streets, ramen shops that smelled like warmth itself. I learned to say "Dziękuję" and "arigato" interchangeably, thank you in 2 languages that once meant you belong somewhere. Somewhere around Kyoto, I realized I'd started sleeping without waking up at 3 a.m. to replay his words. When I finally turned my phone back on a week later, it nearly combusted. 247 texts, 189 missed calls, 73 emails. The first was from Ethan. "This is fixable. Please come home." Then, "I'll take your name. I'll change my handle. We can tell people it was satire." Then, "My parents are furious. My job put me on leave. You've destroyed my career over a misunderstanding." And finally, Vanessa texted me. "She thinks you overreacted." That one made me laugh out loud in a silent train car. The woman across from me looked up, startled. I mouthed, "Sorry," and turned to the window, laughing harder. I scrolled further. Day 5. "My mom says she's disappointed in me. She invited you to dinner. Are you going?" Day 7. "HR wants a statement. What do I even say?" Day 10. "Derek," yeah, Vanessa's ex, found out what happened. He texted me laughing. That was the last message. After that, silence. There were others too. From Maria. "Lauren, sweetheart, I'm ashamed of him. You did nothing wrong. Come for dinner when you're back. Without Ethan." From my friend Carly. "Girl, TikTok. You're viral. They're calling him Mr. Diversity with selective pronunciation. 2 million views. From a stranger named Maya. I was in Vanessa's old friend group. She told everyone you were controlling for wanting your own name. Glad people finally see the truth. Team Kowalski, forever. And one from Mom. Saw Ethan at the grocery store. He tried to talk to me. I pretended I only speak Polish. You would have been proud. I was. By the time my flight home landed 2 weeks later, the world had moved on, but not for Ethan. The video had snowballed into a meme. Too ethnic for my brand. Became a sound clip used for everything from corporate satire to cat videos. His employer, the DEI firm he'd built his image around, released a statement about holding internal leaders accountable. Translation: fired. Vanessa had made a Facebook post that went mildly viral. For the record, I told Ethan to change his name back years ago. It's weird he kept mine. Also, Team Lauren. Even his ex-wife had defected. When I unpacked my suitcase, I realized I hadn't thought of him once during the entire trip. Not while eating sushi at a counter where the chef smiled without asking me to spell my name. Not while standing under cherry blossoms drifting like confetti. I'd thought about Grandma instead, her handwriting on old letters, her pride in the family line. I hung the Polish flag in my living room, not folded in a closet. The colors glowed in the afternoon light. 2 weeks later, I met someone new. His name was Daniel. We met at a community fundraiser, of all places. He was there volunteering, sleeves rolled, smile easy. He asked about my last name when I introduced myself, said it sounded strong. I told him it means blacksmith. He said, fitting. You know how to forge things back together. We started dating quietly. No hashtags, no announcements, no performative posts. Just dinners that turned into long walks, laughter that didn't sound rehearsed. Ethan, meanwhile, stayed exactly where I'd left him, in his parents' guest room, still using Richardson on his dead social accounts, still insisting the internet had misunderstood his intentions. Someone told me he tried to buy the same designer suit again for a rebrand photo shoot, but it was last season, 40% off. He bought it anyway. A month later, I got one last text from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. You ruined my life over nothing. I didn't respond, because I was happy. Happy I stood up for myself. Happy I didn't marry someone who flinched at my name. Happy that too ethnic had become a banner of pride instead of an insult. Sometimes I'd glance at the flag on my wall and think about how easily I could have folded myself small to fit into someone else's image. Instead, I unfolded. Now, when people ask my name, I say it the way Grandma taught me. Slow, steady, proud. Kowalski. And I watch them smile when they say it back.